Imagine my sheer surprise and delight when Dead Island 2 shadow dropped yesterday on Xbox Game Pass. This is just the console only, so if you have a PC, unfortunately, you can't partake in the fun. But you should definitely play this game. I was a massive, massive fan of the first Dead Island. I beat it. I bought it, I think, like the day it came out. I played it straight for a couple weeks. Then, sometime later, they released the Riptide, like definitive edition. I played it and beat it again. And I've always just had an affinity for these types of zombie games that reward you for exploring and that aren't really gun heavy. And this definitely fits that bill. I think what made the original Dead Island so much fun, it was in a tropical paradise. You were walking around and palm trees and beaches, and it didn't feel like the ambiance of a traditional zombie game where you're running down a dystopian universe and things are destroyed and exploding everywhere. So I always thought that was a really cool twist as well. Thankfully, Dead Island 2 basically does everything the first one did and better. And that's why I love it so much. I'm about 7 hours in. Yes, I know it came out yesterday. I pretty much played it straight. I loved it. There's some distinct changes from the first to the second, but I think they're all positive. And I like the direction that this game went in. I like the level design. I like the different characters you can interact with, the weapons, the crafting system, all that stuff. It's still here. And I think it's, like I said, even better. So one of the big things that, to me, separates Dead Island from other zombie games, not just the ambience as we talked about a moment ago, was that there's not really a lot of firepower in this game. Most of your engagements are going to be melee. You're going to be running and jumping and blocking and bashing enemies around in the head, kicking them into things, and setting up environmental traps for them. You're not going to have the traditional Left 4 Dead where you're standing at range, shoulder to shoulder with a couple of your friends just shooting ammunition down range. And I like that. It makes the engagements more meaningful, and it makes the combat feel more rewarding when you kind of have to systematically not get overwhelmed and take out large groups of zombies in intelligent ways. The game does put out a lot of really cool things for you to interact with. It's a very, very interactive sandbox. You'll find tons of things that you don't even really know how to use them, like these barrels. I know these are explosive barrels. I know that if I had a fire-based weapon, or if I could light this oil on fire, it would explode, and obviously anything in that blast radius would be killed, right? There's no zombies even here to use it on. There might be later, I don't know. But there's a lot of stuff in here that's just fun to like find and see. And like, oh, I wonder how I could use this. Oh, I see a puddle and some electricity. Well, let's go ahead and, create some sort of electric barrier that kills people. You find that a lot in this game, and I appreciate that they put that in. And I think that ties really well into the really, really great level design. So the first Dead Island had a ton of just this open world, I almost want to say bloat, because a lot of the places seemed very samey. Now, you could run from one end of the map to the other and find a lot of little distinct areas that had their own unique architectural flair, like maybe all the villas down by the beach or the hotel towards the center of the map. And while they all did have their own kind of unique, environmental flair to them, the moments in between did feel very samey. And there was a lot of doors that you couldn't open. And there was a lot of areas that were just facades because it was just filling in the gaps between these two larger set pieces. The design in Dead Island 2 gets rid of all of that. And instead, you're put in these very compact open world areas that load from instance to instance. So you're going to be in this area. This starting area is a couple homes down a residential street. And that's it. The nice thing is, if you've played a game like Dishonored and you know that really intricate map design and lots of attention to detail and lots of storytelling throughout the map itself, just not even them telling you anything, but you just piecing together what's happening by the world around you, This game does that, and I think it's a massive, massive improvement and change. You're going to spend so much time in these little maps, if you're like me at least, checking out every little nook and cranny, finding all the hidden secrets, opening all the locked doors, breaking all the windows, getting into places that are hidden off the path, aren't required, but will reward you with really cool rewards and fun weapons and new blueprints and crafting items. So your exploration will absolutely be rewarded. But all these doors you see, all these windows, everything I'm walking by that's locked, they will open. You just got to find the key, or you got to find a different way around, or you have to jump over something or blow something up, or find a different path in, buy a fuse to open a box, or find the mailman to get his key, or whatever it happens to be. There's tons and tons of this hidden into the world, and it makes it so much fun to take your time and explore and really, really kind of soak in all the ambiance. And I love that about this game. There's so much here that is just never said, that is just kind of seen and understood to get a sense of what was happening as this zombie invasion began. And I really, really, really love that system. What that does mean, though, is that the missions themselves have to find a way to kind of tie into that. And I think they do a good job of that as well. Early on, you're going to find some really zany NPCs. And this is kind of like a dark humor type of game, or like a dark comedy. Some of the missions are pretty funny. I never really felt a sense of impending dread. I mean, within minutes, this isn't really a spoiler, because it happens in the first like 30 seconds of the game, but turns out that your character gets bit. Like almost immediately you get bit. That leads into you being able to do things that others can't. And everybody puts you to work, but I never felt this impending sense of doom that, like, if I didn't save the world, then, you know, the world would end. Or I never felt like I had to rescue the survivors or else. I never felt that sense of this overwhelming, you know, I have to make things right. And I was fine with that because of the lighting and because of kind of the bright colors and the bright color palette and the really good music that plays in the background and some of the funny environmental stuff. It always came off as a little more lighthearted. So I'm okay with that. But if you're looking for a zombie game where you're like scavenging for pieces of gear moments before the horde comes and you only have 3 bullets left and you have to loot something and you have to make it through a horde of zombies and you're not sure if you're going to make it and the horrors of war, this isn't that game. And I'm fine with that. It's much more lighthearted. And the missions are significantly more lighthearted as well. There are some really laugh out loud moments that I've encountered so far, particularly in this opening area, where everybody is just, they don't care about what's going on. They're all rich and famous and they just want to hide and just basically have you go be the errand boy or girl, because you get to pick from one of like 6 or 7 different characters to start with that have different traits and abilities and such. But they don't even care. they just want to party and have fun, and they're more agitated by the zombie invasion than horrified of it. And it is very funny, some of the nonsensical dialogue that comes out of them, and I appreciated that kind of play on, you know, making fun of like Hollywood's elites and that celebrity status. But then you go to the second area and it's totally different, and you'll meet totally different people who have totally different goals and thoughts and objectives, and you'll just systematically work your way through the various zones, completing kind of the golden path mission of they'll give you one specific thing to do, but then as you walk around and explore, you'll find notes or talk to people or overhear things that will allow you to find other things and other trouble to get into as a side quest. The map itself isn't very helpful, unfortunately. It's like kind of a cartoon, like a map you would get at like a gift shop or something that just has really big exaggerated features. So if you're looking for something that gives you a little bit more like where to go, this game doesn't do that. However, I think it does play well into that exploration where they want you to go around and explore and spend time kind of making loops and finding different paths and opening different doors. So the map doesn't hold your hand, I think, as well as other games might expect. This isn't like a Skyrim type thing where it's like, the secret item is right here. It doesn't do that. You're going to have to walk around and figure out where things are and, uncover the secrets of the world that way. The crafting system is great. There's tons of stuff to find. It does have that kind of Fallout, kind of Bethesda feel to it at times, as you're looting houses, picking up individual items of cleaners and gears and these sorts of things as you need to craft your gear, which is nice. You're going to find that there's a lot of stuff to help you customize your weapon. The weapons are just as outlandish as you expect them to be before. You can have electrified machetes. You could have flamethrower pipes. There's all these different weapons that exist. There is a durability system, and you can go back to a weapon bench and replace the durability as well. So if a weapon's broke, you could just throw it and pick up another one. They're plentiful. Or you could keep it if it's something you really liked. Take it back to one of the many safe zones that you'll uncover throughout the game that will give you, obviously the ability to kind of like recraft your weapons and to, kind of reset your gear. There are vendors in the game that will sell you different blueprints as well. So it is worth exploring and finding different things that you can trade to get these different weapons. Or, there's already like prefab weapons that you could just buy. You can make your own, but if you just don't really feel like you want to deal with the crafting system, just by playing and exploring and opening, various things around the world, you'll find enough currency to just keep the train rolling, so to speak. And you'll be able to buy what you need, and that's great as well. And I really do like that. It runs at 60 frames a second on Xbox Series X. With HDR enabled, this is a gorgeous game. I know you're probably not seeing that here. This is I scraped this off of Twitch. So you're seeing it dumbed down to 30 frames a second. I know the HDR color palette is gone, but the brightness of the blue sky versus the vibrant fires and the blood splatters are gorgeous. This game, rock solid 60 frames a second. It looks and plays well. It's got great haptic feedback in the controller. The zombies themselves are so well done. And the attention of detail in the combat is ridiculous. As you start hitting zombies, you can break off their arms and their legs. If they catch on fire, their faces will melt off and they'll just be skeletons. Their clothes will burn off. Parts of their body will decompose during combat. And it gives you a very deep combat system. If a zombie's chasing you, you could break its legs and they fall down and then they're crawling after you. You could break their arms off so they can't swing at you and only bite. There's a lot of really good attention to detail in the combat here. And as you kind of progress through the game, you'll find other types of like special zombies, but the clothes they wear and the way that they engage you from the map will change. You'll find them hiding in closets. You'll find them hiding under cars. They'll drop in from above you. They'll sneak up behind you. They are everywhere. There's no lack of combat in the game, and I think they did a good job of pacing the combat versus the exploration, because it does give you a sense of it's a good balance between the two. And there are the safe zones where you don't even have a weapon out and you're just safe to freely roam and explore. But that's typically at the safe houses for kind of the crafting system. But everything else other than that, expect to find enemies everywhere. And again, going back to what I said before about how the environmental storytelling works so well, you'll find zombies that have unique names and have unique clothing because they're important characters somehow to the story, or at least to the world they live in. For example, this guy's house, inside the house, kind of tucked in, there's a locked door that you need that his waiter has. Well, his waiter turned into a zombie, and his waiter is locked in one of the pantries in the back wearing his waiter's clothes. And you can instantly tell it's a waiter, and you could kill him and get the key and open up another door and explore. And it's just that kind of stuff is so rewarding. I absolutely adore this game. I really wanted to buy it when it came out, but as you know as well as I do, everybody's got a backlog. Last year was one of the most insane game releases ever in terms of just how many games came out at one time. And I am slowly chipping away. This was something I was going to buy. Target keeps doing those buy two, get ones, or, BOGO type games. And I was like this close, like 8 or 9 times of adding this game in my cart. So that's why I was so thrilled when I got it, quote unquote, for free on Game Pass. Absolutely highly recommend this game. I love it. It's so much fun. Do yourself a favor. Go play it. You will have an absolute blast. It's co-op. You can play with up to 3 friends, exploring the world, having fun, and all that great stuff. That'll wrap up my review on this game. Thank you guys so much for watching. Take care of yourselves. And until next time, I will see you guys on the other side.